I've lived long enough to know that most people don't lose themselves in one big, dramatic moment. They lose themselves teaspoon by teaspoon, small request by small request. Sure, no problem, by, yeah, I can do that. And one day they wake up exhausted, resentful, and strangely invisible in their own life. I remember a morning in my kitchen. I was just standing there, staring at my phone, watching it buzz with messages. Neighbors asking for small favors, former colleagues wanting just 10 minutes, distant acquaintances who seemed to think my time grew on trees. None of those requests were heavy on their own, but together they pressed on my chest like an invisible weight. That morning I whispered to myself, almost laughing at how strange it sounded. I don't even remember the last time I said no. It wasn't that I was trying to be a hero. I simply didn't want to disappoint anyone. Somewhere along the way, I picked up this quiet belief. If someone asked, it must be my job to deliver. Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe you've lived years saying yes so quickly you never even paused long enough to ask if you wanted to. Before I take you further, let me promise you something. In a moment, I'll show you how one simple practice, a gentle little ritual of saying a soft no every day, can quietly rebuild your strength, your energy, and your sense of self-respect. But first, let me tell you how this all began for me. There was a time when I worked with a young software engineer who seemed to be everyone's safety net. Whenever a project fell apart, people turned to him. Whenever someone forgot a deadline, they handed the burden to him. He was talented, kind, and endlessly available. One evening, he told me, with tears he tried to hide, "I don't think anyone actually sees me. They just see what I can do for them." That sentence hit me in a way I wasn't prepared for. It felt like he had accidentally spoken a truth I'd been ignoring about myself for years. I walked out into the cool night air and asked myself, when did helping others slowly turn into abandoning myself? And there, under a street lamp humming over an empty parking lot, something shook me awake. I realized this simple truth. People don't respect you because you say yes. People respect you when your yes means something. And your yes only means something when your no means something too. A little later, I decided to experiment with an idea. Something simple, almost innocent. For 45 days, I would say one soft no every day. Not a dramatic no, not a defensive no, just a gentle, warm, honest, human no to a small request I normally would have agreed to automatically. It sounded ridiculous at first, too small to matter, too easy to make any real difference. But within a week, I began to breathe deeper. I began to feel lighter. I began to sleep through the night. And I began to see why so many of us struggle with boundaries. We think boundaries are walls, but the truth is, boundaries are filters. They let the right things in. They keep the draining things out. Still, you and I weren't born knowing how to set them. Most people learn to people-please the same way they learn to tie their shoes. Slowly, repeatedly, without ever realizing they're learning it. Maybe you grew up trying to keep the peace. Maybe you learned early on that being easy meant being valued. Maybe you're the dependable one at work, the strong one at home, the friend who always has time, and people love that about you. They really do. But the trouble begins when being indispensable becomes a quiet prison. When who you are gets replaced by what you offer. I've seen this pattern everywhere. In overworked nurses, in exhausted teachers, in managers drowning in extra tasks, in young parents stretched thin, in small business owners who never stop taking one more order, one more call, one more responsibility. People-pleasing isn't a flaw. It's a survival strategy, one you learned so well that you forgot it was optional. And that's why the practice of one soft no a day works so powerfully. Because it teaches your nervous system, gently and consistently, that your worth isn't built on compliance. It teaches you that your time is real, your energy is real, your inner life is real. And it shows you something even deeper. Saying no doesn't mean withdrawing love. Sometimes it's exactly the form love needs to take. I remember turning down a request during week 2 of my practice. It was something trivial. A neighbor asking if I could help move a couch late at night. A year earlier, I would have thrown on my shoes before even thinking. But that night I simply said, "I'm sorry, I can't tonight. I hope you can find someone who's free." I said it kindly, gently, warmly, and something astonishing happened. He smiled and said, "No problem at all. You're always helping people. Get some rest." I walked back inside, stunned. The world hadn't ended. Nobody was disappointed. Nobody thought less of me. It felt like discovering a secret door inside a familiar house. That's when I realized, most people don't get upset when you say no. They get upset when you say yes with resentment hiding underneath. A soft no is not rude. A soft no is honest. And honesty builds respect far more reliably than compliance ever could. Soon, patterns started to appear. I noticed how many tiny requests slipped under my awareness. "Can you send me that file real quick? Can you cover my shift for an hour? Can you pick this up for me since you're already out? Can you listen right now? I know you're busy, but can you squeeze this in? It'll only take a second." At first glance, they looked harmless. But small leaks can sink big ships. Every yes without intention was costing me more than I realized. And here's the strange part. Half the time, I didn't even want to say yes. I just didn't want to feel guilty. It took me years to understand that guilt is not a compass. It's a habit. And habits can be retrained. That's exactly what those 45 soft no's began doing for me. They were retraining parts of my mind that had been conditioned to believe that goodness meant self-erasure. But I didn't want to erase myself anymore. And I don't want you to erase yourself either. Soon I'll walk you through the practices, the small steps you can start today to build softer, kinder, stronger boundaries. But before that, there's something you need to know. When you start saying no, even gently, you'll start hearing echoes inside yourself you didn't expect. Old fears, old beliefs, old patterns of thinking you didn't know were still living in you. Don't let that scare you. That's just the noise of old habits dissolving. You're not breaking anything. You're rebuilding. And there's one more quiet truth you need to hear. The people who love you will adjust. The people who only loved your compliance may drift away. But the people who respect you will stay. And their respect will deepen. Because boundaries don't push the right people out. They teach them how to come closer. Around day 15, something subtle shifted in me. I started noticing the shape of my yes. I could feel when it came from joy and when it came from pressure. And I could feel the difference in my body. A real yes feels warm, effortless, open. A pressured yes feels tight, rushed, almost metallic. Most of my old yeses had that metallic ring. I remember standing in line at a small grocery store, holding a carton of blueberries and thinking, when did I stop choosing my yes? Right there, among strangers, a quiet sadness moved through me. Because it's not just about saying no, it's about reclaiming your yes so it shines again. You deserve that. You deserve a yes that feels true. And that kind of yes can only grow in a life where no is allowed to exist. That realization became one of the deepest turning points of my journey. Around that same time, something else happened. A friend, someone I cared about deeply, asked if I could help them move apartments on a weekend I had already dedicated to rest. In the past, I would have immediately canceled my own plans. But that day, I paused. Pausing is a small miracle, you know. It interrupts old patterns just long enough for truth to speak up. In that pause, I realized I had nothing left to give that weekend. Not emotionally, not physically, not spiritually. So I said gently, I want to help you, but I don't have the capacity that weekend. And something unexpected happened. They didn't guilt me. They didn't withdraw. They didn't make it complicated. They simply said, thank you for being honest. I appreciate you. I walked away with this growing certainty inside me. Boundaries don't ruin relationships. Silence and resentment do. People can feel when your yes costs you too much. Even if they don't say it, even if they don't mean any harm, they can feel it. Honesty doesn't damage closeness. Dishonest yeses do. Around the halfway point, somewhere near day 22, I started noticing a strange clarity in my ordinary days. I could tell which people genuinely valued my time and which people mostly valued my usefulness. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cruel. It was simply clear, like someone had wiped the fog off a window. A young designer I once mentored asked if I could take a quick look at a 20-page project. In the past, I would have stayed up late doing it thoroughly, even though quick look never really meant quick. That day, I said my soft no. I'm cheering for you, but I can't take that on right now. What happened next surprised me. She wrote back, thank you for saying that. I want to respect your time. I'll figure it out. That's when I saw something important. When you model healthy boundaries, people around you start learning them too. This gentle practice doesn't just change you. It changes the emotional climate around you. Healthy boundaries are contagious. Somewhere in week 4, I experienced a moment that felt like a quiet revelation. I was sitting in my living room, evening light spilling across the floor, and I felt spacious. Not busy, not useful, not productive, just spacious. And all of that came from saying just one soft no a day. That's when I finally understood something I'd been circling for years. A soft no protects your energy. But even more importantly, it protects the doorway to your life. No is not a rejection. No is not cold. No is not selfish. A soft no is simply a way of saying, I am responsible for my life. I am responsible for my energy. I am responsible for my presence in this world. And when you take responsibility for yourself, you stop drowning in responsibility for everyone else. This is where the transformation begins. Now, let me take you a little deeper. You may not see it at first, but every time you say a soft no, you're training your inner voice to speak to you with kindness instead of pressure. You train yourself to check in before you commit. You train yourself to notice your limits. You train yourself to question urgency that isn't real. You train yourself to value your time, not as a resource to be mined, but as a home to live in. And when that awareness grows, something beautiful happens. You start building a life that fits you, not one that drains you, not one that stretches you paper thin, not one where you're constantly scrambling to meet everyone else's expectations. A soft no is not pushing the world away. It's choosing to meet the world from a stronger, clearer place. And people feel the difference. The world feels the difference. You feel the difference most of all. By the time day 30 arrived, this small practice had already changed the fabric of my days. I found myself speaking slower, breathing deeper, making decisions without panic, letting go of tasks I'd taken on out of habit rather than desire. And then an unexpected question appeared inside me. What do I actually want? That question startled me, because I hadn't asked myself that in years. I'd been so busy being helpful, reliable, available, that I'd forgotten I had a life of my own to shape. One soft no each day had created enough quiet in my mind for my real desires to finally whisper again. And when desire whispers, you owe it your attention. Because buried desires are often the compass you've been missing. Let me share a simple sentence that has stayed with me over the years. You can't build a meaningful life on top of automatic yeses. That truth is as real now as the first time it came to me. Your yes is precious. Your energy is finite. Your time is sacred. Your attention shapes your entire world. When you say yes to everything, nothing in your life gets your full heart. When you learn to say no gently, your yes becomes luminous again. People can feel the difference between a yes given in freedom and a yes given in obligation. One builds connection, the other builds quiet resentment. And resentment, I've seen it more times than I can count, rots relationships from the inside long before anyone notices. That's why your soft no is an act of kindness for you and for everyone who truly matters. We're getting close to the heart of this journey. Soon, I'll give you the practical steps, the small, grounded ways you can begin this transformation today. But before we go there, I want to tell you one more story. I met a nurse once, one of the hardest working, most compassionate people you could imagine. She told me she was burning out and didn't understand why. She loved her patients, she loved her work, she loved her colleagues. But she could never say no. Not to extra shifts, not to favors, not to weekend calls, not to last-minute obligations. Her yeses were eating her alive. I asked her gently, "When's the last time you said no to something small?" She thought for a moment, then shook her head. "I don't think I ever have." We talked about the 45-day practice. She decided to start the very next morning. 6 weeks later, she came back with tears in her eyes, not from sadness, but from relief. She said, "For the first time in years, I feel like my life belongs to me again." And that's the point of all this. Your life belongs to you, but you have to claim it. And the first way you claim it is with a soft, honest, gentle no. By the time I reached day 35, the world around me started responding to my boundaries as if they'd always been there. Certain people who constantly leaned on my time suddenly stopped asking for small favors. Not because they were angry, but because they finally understood I wasn't endlessly available. And the surprising thing? I didn't lose anything. I gained peace. I gained respect. I gained a deeper, more grounded connection with myself. One evening, a friend said, "You seem calmer lately, lighter, more like yourself." That sentence stayed with me. Because this journey isn't about becoming tougher or colder. It's about returning to the person you were before the world taught you that being valuable meant being exhausted. I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. A boundary isn't a door that closes. It's a window that opens. It lets light in where darkness had settled. And when you say no softly, steadily, warmly, you start to shine in a way people can actually feel. Not the frantic glow of someone burning out, but the steady warmth of someone who knows their own worth. That's what soft boundaries do. They don't harden you, they clarify you. On day 38, something else shifted. A colleague asked if I could just look through a document they needed help with. It wasn't urgent, it wasn't important, and I knew myself well enough by then to recognize that even small tasks pull energy from the same source that fuels everything meaningful in my life. So I said, "I wish I could help, but I can't take that on." No long explanation, no justifying, no guilt. What happened next was beautiful. They replied, "I admire how you protect your time. I need to learn that too." That's when I realized something profound. When you set boundaries, you're not just helping yourself. You're giving other people permission to take care of themselves too. Not by preaching, not by lecturing, just by living differently. That's the quiet leadership of boundaries. A leadership rooted in authenticity, not authority. Around day 40, the practice did something I didn't expect. It softened me, not hardened me, softened me. Because for the first time in my life, my actions matched my inner truth. I wasn't saying yes when I meant no. I wasn't pretending to be fine when I was drained. I wasn't taking on tasks I secretly resented. Without that constant inner friction, everything became gentler. My conversations grew kinder. My decisions became clearer. My presence became calmer. Boundaries don't make you less kind. They remove the resentment that corrodes kindness from the inside. I've seen people mistake superficial politeness for real kindness. But real kindness, the kind that lasts, doesn't come from an exhausted, overextended, guilt-ridden place. A soft no protects your ability to give from a full heart, not a forced one. That's the difference between giving and leaking. One nourishes others, the other slowly empties you. By the time day 45 arrived, something in me had changed for good. I looked at my phone that morning. 2 small requests, nothing dramatic, and for the first time, I didn't feel that familiar pressure in my chest. No panic, no guilt, no reflexive yes waiting to jump out of me. Instead, I felt spacious, grounded, steady. And I realized something simple but life-changing. I finally trusted myself to choose my yes and to protect it with my no. That's when I understood the quiet genius of this 45-day journey. Because in learning to say no to small things, you learn something much bigger. You learn that your life is yours to shape. You learn that your time is not an open buffet. You learn that your energy is not a public utility. You learn that your heart doesn't have to be a revolving door. You learn that your worth was never meant to be measured in sacrifices. And you learn that boundaries are not barriers. They are the architecture of freedom. Now we've come to the part I promised you, the practices. The small, quiet things you can start doing today to build stronger, clearer, kinder boundaries, without becoming harsh or distant. Don't think of these as chores. Think of them as invitations back to yourself. Each one is designed to bring you home again. Let's walk through them one by one. The first practice is what I've been talking about all along. One soft no a day. It's a daily ritual for rebuilding trust with yourself. Here's how it works. Each day, choose one tiny request you usually accept without thinking. Something small, something simple. Then pause before you answer. That pause is the key moment. In that pause, you breathe. You notice how you feel. Then you say a soft no. You speak it with warmth and honesty. No apology. No over-explaining. Afterward, notice how your body feels. Do you feel lighter? Tense? Relieved? Then tomorrow, you do the same thing again with something equally small. This one practice can begin to transform your relationship with time and energy. The second practice is what I call the 3-question pause. It's a way to check your truth before you respond. Here's the simple idea. If you can't say yes with ease, you're not ready to say it at all. So when someone asks something of you, don't rush. Pause. Inside that pause, ask yourself 3 questions. Do I genuinely want to do this? Do I have the energy for it? Will I resent this later? Only say yes if your answers feel clean and honest. If they don't, then it's time for a warm no. This simple pause turns decisions from old instinct into fresh wisdom. The third practice is a small reset I've leaned on many times. A 5-minute boundary reset. It's a gentle way to come back to yourself when you feel pulled in too many directions. The idea is simple. Step away so you can return. Find somewhere quiet, even if it's just your car, a stairwell, or a hallway. Sit for a moment. Close your eyes. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? Let the answer rise up on its own. Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's space, silence, food, water. Just a few deep breaths. Then give yourself at least one thing you heard. Return to your day with clarity instead of chaos. This practice helps you stop reacting and start choosing. The fourth practice is about restoring the beauty of your yes. I think of it as the honest yes. Your yes deserves to mean something again. Here's the thought that guides it. A yes given from fullness is worth more than 10 given from pressure. So before you agree to anything, pause for 5 slow breaths. Then ask yourself, will this matter to me tomorrow? If the answer is no, gently consider declining. And when you do say yes, let it be a joyful yes. A yes you can stand behind. Then protect that yes like you'd protect a small seed you just planted. This is how you build a life filled with choices that actually feel like yours. The fifth practice is a little reminder I like to carry with me. Boundaries in action. It's about remembering that boundaries can be an act of love. Before you deliver a no, soften yourself. Soften your voice. Soften your shoulders. Then add one simple, kind phrase. Something like, I hope you understand, or thank you for thinking of me, or I want to support you, but I can't take that on right now. End with warmth, not tension. Walk away knowing you chose honesty over fear, and trust that the right people will feel the care underneath your words. This is how boundaries shift from confrontation into connection. Now, let me close this long, quiet journey with something I want you to hold close. Your no is not a rejection. Your no is not a wall. Your no is not selfish. Your no is a way of saying yes. Yes to your life. Yes to your well-being. Yes to your inner clarity. Yes to the person you're becoming. You are not here to live everyone else's story. You are here to live your own. And you deserve to live it fully. Tomorrow may not be promised, but today is here, right here, waiting for you to live it.